So now I want to introduce a somewhat new feature that I am just now implementing that will hopefully help assist with some slow responding drives, and that is the ability to read the same area twice if it hits a soft reset timeout. The concept is that sometimes the background process will stop for a while if you perform a reset, allowing multiple reads in a row before the background process starts again, which can increase the read speed, sometimes greatly. This only works with the direct modes that have access to the reset timeouts. So I have my slow responding drive connected via SATA. Already shows the project and everything. So going to go to settings. First thing we're going to do is we're going to turn up that skip threshold so we don't get any slow skips. Okay, now I'm leaving right now for this test. I'm going to leave the cluster size at 128, the default, just to demonstrate. So first we're just going to see what the speed is with no setting changes. We'll let it settle in. You can see that pretty much every read is timing out. Not timing out, but taking about the same amount of time to read. And our read speed is around 34 kilobytes a second. So we'll stop it. Now we're going to go into advanced settings and enable read twice, yeah, on timeout. And we're also going to play with our timing settings because right now we have a soft reset time of the default of 8,000. And I'm in direct HCI mode with this drive because it's connected via SATA. So I want to enable a short reset time. So the quickest way for me to do that right now is I'm just going to enable the phase timer. So right now we're in phase 1, so it's going to be a 250 millisecond timer. Now the understanding is that the first read will trigger the reset at the 250 millisecond timer. Whatever the soft reset time is, if you don't have this enabled, it would be whatever you set it up here. The second read attempt is going to use the reset retry time. So right now that is set at 8,000, so that's 8 seconds. You want to make sure that's long enough for your read to be able to complete it before that background process, within the time that the background process takes, so you don't trigger another reset or timeout. So I'm going to click OK on that. Well, we're going to start, and we're just going to watch and see what happens. You can see that soft reset, hard reset. I forgot to mention this drive. Since it's going to the hard reset, that means that within the 500 millisecond period, it has not reset. So the soft reset doesn't do any good. The hard reset would. So I could actually make this probably a little bit faster by actually turning the hard reset time down to 0, so it just jumps straight to a hard reset. But this is just a demonstration right now. You can see, if you've been watching the current rate at all, you can see it's bouncing around. And it's a lot higher than that 33 kilobytes a second. Okay, that was a long hang time. Still a higher read rate though. Sometimes it jumps up. Look at that. There's a 90, 91... multiple reads in a row at high speed, which has jumped our recent rate up. So that's it doesn't always work, this well. Your mileage may vary. This is just an alternative possibility to try. This is with a SATA connected drive. I'll demonstrate next USB connected, but it's not necessarily. It doesn't have the same results, or the results aren't as good. But remember, right now this read rate is actually very good compared to what we were looking at before. Originally with this drive, and the cluster size is still at the default of 128 for this demonstration. Now I'm going to demonstrate that this does kind of work with USB, but not near as well as SATA. So I've already got the drive chosen. We're going to go to clone settings. First thing we're going to do is increase our skip threshold so it doesn't skip on slow. So everything's default. Everything other than what I just changed is default, and the mode is direct USB. So we're still at 128 cluster size. So we'll connect and start, and then we'll watch and see what our rate settles into. As we can see, the rate looks like it has settled into about 32 kilobytes a second. That seems to be fairly consistent. So we'll stop it. Now we're going to change the advanced setting again to enable read twice on timeout. Now we need to change our timer settings because right now it's using the soft reset time of 8 seconds. I'm just going to enable the phase timer the same as I did before, so the first timeout is 250 milliseconds. But I'm also going to uncheck the port reset time because the nature of the USB and how the timeouts work is it doesn't use this retry reset timeout. Actually, it's this reset timeout. It uses this one as the last, after the last timeout. So we don't want it to be waiting for this timeout on for the what's hard reset time, which would be what it would be waiting for in between this one and the bulk reset, which is mandatory, and then the port reset. So we're just going to uncheck that anyway, because otherwise it'll try and do double resets and it just slows things down more. So now we do that. We'll start it and see what we get. Now it's off to a slow start because USB just doesn't work as well. Now you can see if we watch the rate, and it's going to bounce around a bit. It's an improvement. It's definite improvement. Remember, we're still at the 128 cluster size. So, but it's not the spectacular improvement that we saw with SATA. So it can help. However, and I'm not going to demonstrate it, but when I tested it, I jumped it all the way up to the cluster size of, well, here, watch. I guess I will demonstrate it. Stop, come on. Slow responding, gotta love it. So I'm just gonna bump the cluster size up to maximum. And remember what we had before, I think was around 10 megabytes a second where it settled in. You're going to see that this does not. It settles in well below that, like around the 6 something megabytes a second, which is you can see it's slower. So it has an effect. It helps until you really increase the cluster size with the USB drive. So kind of hit and miss. Your mileage may vary. It might not help at all. It might slow things down. It's just an option to try.